Renfail, you play solo all the time. Can you give us an ultimate solo PVE build guide? Sure, but my style of gameplay is not necessarily your style of gameplay. So this guide will sort of be like how I play the game, but you might play your game differently, so you might choose to do something different. So the cool thing about this game is that you can respec on a whim and you can try different things out as you want. I shouldn't say on a whim. You can respec every 48 hours. It doesn't cost you anything, but there is downtime. So it gives you a couple of days to play around with things to see if you can find something that works for you. But I am around 300 hours into the game at this point, and I have largely been playing exactly the same build throughout the entirety of my gameplay sessions, all of which have been streamed live on YouTube, Twitch, and the Steam page, thanks to Funcom for that. So, the one thing that I did change recently is I have moved to light armor away from heavy armor, which is represented by the set that I'm wearing here. And that is really just a personal decision based on when we started doing the group-based deep desert dungeons, which is kind of where I'm focused on right now. I am finding myself doing a lot more dodging and dealing with upfront and personal enemies who are using blades as opposed to the 99% of the rest of the game that I played up until this point where I was using heavy armor. And it was mostly dealing with like the ranged and the darts and everything else. I will say that it is not a good idea to mix and match armor. You should pick either heavy or light and go 100% in either direction. If you can afford to make a set of each, that's even better because you might find that certain Imperial testing stations are more geared towards one side or the other. But for your general day to day exploration, crafting, harvesting, running around and doing like the scavenger camps and caves and stuff, I did all that in a still suit. So don't stress too much about the gear. Mostly people are wanting to know about my abilities and weapons. So let me move this screen out of the way and let's kind of go down through this. So I primarily focus on, and I have since day one, I really love the rapier. Now you're obviously not going to get a poison mist rapier until much later in the game, but the rapier is the melee weapon of choice that I use. Now I am primarily a ranged character. I am a mentat with a lot of specializations into ranged. So I have always preferred the sniper rifle, followed up by the SMG to deal with people who have shields. I do have a shotgun with the drill shot that I've used in some scenarios. That's a preference for some people. There's a lot of different ways to deal with shielded enemies, um, but yeah, I'll talk about my skills here in a second. But mostly what I do is I would say about 90% of my combat is the sniper rifle. Headshots are a big deal. Usually, when you go into a room, there will be 3 to 5 mobs. I could generally drop. If there's like three, I can oftentimes get all three of them before they even realize I'm in the room. And that's using the controller, which is a little bit, I would argue, slower than if you're doing mouse and keyboard, where you have a little bit more fine tune. Um, but that's a personal preference because I do play on controller for my wrists and hands. Um, on the rare occasion that something gets through and manages to make it up to me or close to me, I will of course poison everything and drop my turret, and then I have the SMG to deal with everything when they get up close and personal. And then when I'm being overwhelmingly attacked by multiple mobs at one point in time, and they're all up close and personal with melee weapons, I will switch to the rapier and do my best to parry and dodge. And since we're doing a lot of that in the deep desert, I have been using my melee more than I used to, which is why I switched over to light armor because I don't have the penalty to dodge like you do with the heavy armor. So let's talk about the 99% of the gameplay that you're going to be doing, which is going to be everything throughout the base game, all the storyline content in the Haga Basin. Basically, this entire map is going to represent the vast majority of what you're doing, and then even the testing stations in row A in the deep desert are going to be related to that solo PVE stuff as well. It's not until you get into the northern half of the deep desert that you get into that group-based content that we're currently working on, and that represents what I'm currently working on after like 300-ish hours of gameplay. So keep in mind that the vast majority of things you're going to be doing um, are going to be down here in Haga Basin and etc. So I am a Mentat first and foremost. So the two abilities down here that I use the most are the turret, the sentinel, and the poison capsule, which fires off an AoE um, ball of poison at people. I have the Shigawire claw from the trooper line, mostly for traversal, but it also works great as a stun tool during combat, which I'll talk about here in a minute. Now, since I am primarily a Mentat, I have taken all of these abilities in the Mentat line in terms of ranged damage bonuses, also the tailoring bonuses to repair gear, Garment Keeper, all of those are huge. Shield Overcharge is great. These are all my rifle damages. Now this is where if you're using pistol, you go to pistol damage. I don't use pistols, but I do use rifles a lot. This gives me a bonus to my sniper rifle. And then over here, I have headshot damage, and I have assassin's shot, which is additional range damage. So lots of ranged damage bonuses. I am primarily a ranged character. Now, to back that up, over here in the trooper line, I have ranged damage bonuses here. I have a little bit of disruptor damage there. Center of mass is additional headshot, a little bit of less headshot damage, but body damage, which is great for the SMGs. You don't have to take that. I don't mind having it as a technique, even though it does take away a little bit of my headshot damage. Um, I feel like I have enough bonuses in other areas. I still get plenty of headshots, and I one-shot just about everything other than like heavy armor. Like the heavy guys usually take, they're not going to die with one headshot. Occasionally I'll get lucky and get a crit shot, but usually they're going to take some additional fire. Um, Gunsmith is a big deal because it's a max durability loss deal when you're repairing. Anyway, I'm only level 169, so I still have quite a ways to go to get to 200. So I will eventually end up probably fleshing out Gunsmith for sure, and probably field maintenance because the reduced durability loss is a big deal. Backing all of that up, I have a ton of stuff in the planetologist line. Specifically, I have the vehicle repair stuff, I have fuel efficiency, I have vehicle mining, I have the fuel efficiency for piloting. I'll probably end up maxing the vehicle scanning out as well. I have the max mountaineering to reduce stamina drain on climbing. I have maxed still suit seals. This is great for deep desert stuff, Spice Surveyor. And over here, we have the max cut array mining, max rerouting of your power regeneration, max rank of overcharge for the power pack, and then I'll end up fleshing this out to rank 3 compaction and probably deep analysis at some point. But right now, I'm most focused on this. But the big thing is the with the Mentat, I'm primarily ranged, and all my range bonuses and a lot of headshot bonuses, other than that one technique in the trooper line, which sort of cancels out a little bit, but I get additional body shot damage. The reason I do that is because, as I said, my primary choice of everything is when we're getting into combat, I sneak up to the room. Obviously, I have shields on. I'm not going to show an actual combat situation right now because I have enough streams showing that off. I'm just going to walk you through what I do. You sneak up to any given combat situation, scan what's going on. If there's 2 or 3 mobs, figure out where they are. Boom, headshot. Boom, get over here, headshot. Because you'll have a couple seconds before the other guy realizes what's happened. If there's 3 in the room, the reload, I will sometimes be able to get that third shot off as the third person is running around trying to figure out what's going on. But more often than not, they're going to already, especially if it's a room where there's like a couple of ranged in a melee, somebody in that room is probably charging me at this point as a melee character. So let's just say that happened. I go boom, headshot, killed 2, third one's on the way, drop the turret, back up, deploy the turret, switch over to my SMG, they get close, burn them down while the turret's doing its thing. That will generally kill them. Now if there's more than 3, this is where I'll say, okay, what do we have? We have a big group. Well, let's headshot a couple. Now I've got 2 running in. They're running in. I will deploy Poison Blast to their face as they're running in. Then I'll drop the turret. Then I'll back out and see who makes it through the ticking poison, through the turret to get to me, and then we're good to go. quick commercial break, everyone, to celebrate and give thanks to all of these amazing people who keep me on the air full time. Really appreciate the support. All you got to do is join as a member. You get access to private videos. You can also do super thanks on any upload or super chats and stickers on any live stream or premiere you see. And beyond that, don't forget we're multi-streaming over on Twitch now, so you can support over there as well. Thanks so much to everybody. Let's get back to the video at hand. The only time I will switch over to the rapier is when I'm being overwhelmed by melee targets. If I've got 2 or 3 guys I'm in, they're all bashing me and trying to knee bash me and stun lock me and everything else. This is where, parrying as often as you can is good, but also dodging out of the way. And one of the reasons, this is why I said when I got up until, and I still have this set here, I'll show you, I think it's this chest right here. The Mendex set, I have a full set of heavy gear that I used for, and that was just the most recent set of it, but I used heavy gear for like 250 plus hours of gameplay. I was in heavy gear the whole way through the game, other than my still suit for general exploration. But I was in heavy gear for all of the quest dungeons, all of the Imperial testing stations, my initial grind through the row A testing stations in the deep desert. The only reason I went ahead and finally made myself a set of light armor is because now that I'm starting to do the group-based Imperial testing stations deep in the deep desert with other players, there is a room of mobs that you'll get to where there's 7 waves of mobs that spawn. And it is a ton, and I mean a ton, of melee attackers who just wail on you. And they get up close and personal. And this set of gear, you'll notice one of the benefits to the light gear is the blade mitigation and the reduced stamina cost on dash. That is a big deal for getting out of the way, dodging, and mitigating the blade damage that they're doing. And if you look at the heavy set of gear, this is where the bonuses are related. These are more about, there's no blade mitigation on these, right? So it's reduced blade mitigation, but it increases the cost of your stamina on the dash move, which sucks because you don't get very much dash out of that. But you get a ton of dart mitigation, energy mitigation, concussion mitigation. Concussion is grenades, heavy darts, and light darts. So if you're dealing with a lot of ranged enemies, the heavy armor is amazing for all of that stuff because it's going to mitigate all those darts being fired at you. However, it has crappy blade. It has, not that great of. It has a negative to the blade mitigation, so it's not great for enemies that are up close and personal. Which is why, since I'm doing mostly deep desert testing stations right now, where we're dealing with up close and personal, I'm mostly wearing the light armor. However, I also have that set of heavy armor, so if I go back and do like the solo dungeons, I don't have a problem running around in the heavy armor because I've used it for a long time, and it's great for keeping things at a distance. You just don't get as much dash out of it. So that's my build. That's what I do. Oh, I forgot to talk about the stun thing. So Shigawire is great for traversal, running around with your belt and doing cool things when you're running. But Shigawire also is really cool in that if you do it to their face, so when you see a mob and you just go boop, it literally stuns them and they get locked into a stun mode. So it's a great tool for, like, let's say you have 2 methods here. I either use the SMG or the melee. But what's really cool is, like, you hit them with the stun and they immediately get stunned, and while they're in the stun state, they're not moving, and you can just open fire and melt their shields down, or get up close and personal and slow blade pierces the shield while they're stunned. So having that as a traversal tool and as a stun in combat is great, on top of the poison and of course the turret, being able to have this bad boy defend you while you're running around. And in really hairy scenarios where things are getting really gnarly and I've somehow managed to miss an attack or something and I'm being chased around the room by 5 or 6 mobs, all you got to do is just keep moving, stay ahead of them, and then every time your turret refreshes, drop a new turret, turn around, blast them with the poison to the face, dot them, keep running, circulate, 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 and eventually they will die to poison dots in your turret. Um, I don't know. That's my build. It's not the best build on the planet, but it has worked exceptionally well for me. So hopefully you can use this and find something in here that might be useful to you. I know a lot of people prefer the drill shot above the SMG. That's just personal preference. They both do a great job at burning through shields. The SMG is, lots of firepower to overwhelm the shields, whereas the drill shot that I actually have, matter of fact, I think I can show this. Do I have it on me? Um, is it in my inventory? I don't think I actively have it with me right now, and I think it might be in this chest. Let's look here. The drill shot that I have is this one right here. Let's go ahead and show this off. This is a really cool drill shot. Um, it's one of several different types of drill shots you can get, but this one is nice because it fires 2 shots. So hang on, reload, and it's 2 shots to the shield. It's just duh. However, when things are moving around really quickly, it's hard to charge that up and hit them. So what you really got to do is, what the best way to do it is use the sugar wire to stun, and then while they're sitting there stunned, you blam blam right to the face with the drill shot. It works equally well to the SMG. I do prefer the SMG. Just it's a personal preference thing. But yeah, that's my build. It works for me. It's been extremely potent for everything. I have soloed pretty much everything up until the last couple of sessions, and even that, it's only one testing station that we're doing right now that is group based with 4 of us going in. So that only represents it's probably represents like 0.2%. It's not even 1% of the total gameplay that I've done in Dune Awakening. So take with that what you will. If you found the video useful, don't forget to like, subscribe, hit the bell icon so you never miss an update. And we'll see you in the next one. Daily streams every single day at around 5 a.m. Central on YouTube and Twitch. And in this case, we're also streaming to the Steam page as of this recording. So hopefully we'll see you in the next one. Stay safe out there. Happy gaming.